Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Recently I watched Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, a new movie about the Mad Max franchise. And I really liked the movie. I think Fury Road was a little bit better maybe, but I still liked it a lot. And to my great surprise, right at the beginning of the movie, there was a scene with a slingshot. Yeah, little Furiosa was like captured by nomads and her mother freed her just using a slingshot to raid the tent where they would hold her captive. So, you know, someone opens the tent and she goes right and shoots him like looks like a steel ball right in the forehead. And of course, I really like the fact that in that franchise, all the weapons are like makeshift. So that was a makeshift weapon too. And it was when you look at it, we don't really see a whole lot of detail about the weapon. And there's actually no picture from the movie prop. So by looking at various frames, you could see that it was actually made from sprockets. So I bought some of these. So these are like sprockets. And there is a smaller one that is in the front and a larger one that's a little bit in the rear. And the handle looks like it was made from a chisel, just like this one here. So this is brand new basically, but you know, so the chisel would sit on here and then the slingshot would be here. And then they use like 4 tubular Chinese rubber bands to create the slingshot, and a little bit of leather obviously for the pouch. So let's recreate that slingshot and see if it's really any good. I have my doubts, but on the other hand, it's so rare that you see a slingshot in a modern movie that if there is one, I have to make a replica. So we now have these 4 pieces of tube that we will use as a distance keeper. And of course I could have turned them a little bit better in the lathe, but on the other hand, they would probably have used a hacksaw because there was some electricity, I think, but it was absolutely rare and would have used very sparingly. So I don't think that they would have used lathes and so on. So it's a little bit imprecise, but it doesn't matter. It will add to the overall look of the weapon. So as you can see, I have now installed my little distance rings here. And it so happens, that's just because that's exactly what I wanted, that I can squeeze the chisel tightly in between this so that the distance is just right. And next I will of course have to weld this shut. So I've now squeezed in the chisel, and you know I've already prepared it for the welding, and therefore I removed the paint so that I can now go ahead and weld it on. But it's already holding just from friction because it's jammed in so tightly. So I'm using a paintball first, just because it's not as dangerous should something happen. With forks like this, it can easily happen that you hit the rim. And with a steel ball, that could come back to you at a terrific speed. Okay, we draw it out. Ha! It works. Okay, so here it is, the Furiosa Replica Slingshot made from sprockets. Well, first of all, let's test if it can hit the can over there, so to see if it's really a functional slingshot. And as ammo, I decided to go for hex nuts, because to me that's like really good for apocalyptic scenes, since hex nuts will be available, I guess, you know, anywhere. So. Obviously it works. Now let's test what would happen if we would try to really hit someone between the eye. Now if you look at the scene again, you can see that she hits with something metallic, could be a hex nut, could be a steel ball, I think it's probably more like a hex nut, hits him right between the eyes, and then what happens is that the guy is kind of falling down. So we don't know if it's dead or not, but you can see that the thing doesn't really penetrate the skull, it just sticks in its forehead. So let's simulate this and see if this thing is actually capable of doing exactly that. So I have made this dummy here, which actually is ballistic gelatin. And I actually sprayed it Mad Max style a little bit. And we also put some leather here on the forehead to simulate skin. And this is actually probably a little bit tougher than skin. And we also have plywood in the rear side, that's 6mm plywood, to simulate a bone, like a skull bone. So let's see what happens when we shoot at this thing. Okay, let's go for it. Point blank, just like in the movie. That was a hit. Let's do one more. Oops, it hit me on the head. Well, as you saw, it really dented this, and that would have been very, very unpleasant and probably could have knocked out someone. It's absolutely possible, because that's a very vulnerable spot. Of course, this leather here is thicker than human skin, so it didn't penetrate. But I would still say it's realistic that with a slingshot like this, you could seriously hurt someone. Absolutely. So this is my ram bone. I decided to mass produce it maybe 11 years ago or something. So this of course sits much lower in the hand than this, I mean, compare it. So the strain on the wrist is much lower, it has a more comfortable handle, and of course it's much easier to attach the bands. I mean, this is really fumbly, it takes you a long time to do that. So this is the far more modern slingshot. It also uses flat bands that are tapered. So this means they're like 22mm here and only 18mm here. And this one is a triple layer setup. So it's really, really powerful. And also, of course, I would prefer to use steel balls for this instead of the hex nuts. And for comparison, let's do a shot with this one and see what comes out of it. So here's my 20mm steel ball ammo. Whoa. That was far more severe. Yeah. So here you can see how serious this impact was. I mean, the dent clearly kind of pushed the ball deep into this, and you can actually see that it actually penetrated. You can see a wound canal in here. So this means it kind of stomped the whole thing to here and even cracked the wood a little bit. So that was a serious impact that definitely would have absolutely hurt someone so hard that he would lose consciousness. Okay, just for comparison, we're now going to shoot with the adder and the standard 130-pound bowline set. And to show you the difference, I mean, this has not even half of the energy, like in foot-pounds or in joule, as my Slingshot, as the Rambo with the triple layer band set. But it's shooting very pointy, very sharp arrows. And that makes all the difference in the world. So it really comes down to penetration power. So let's load these into the adder and then compare the penetration effect. So as you see, the adder isn't nearly full because that's the 18-shot magazine. That's actually a special edition with different colors. Also, I wanted to show you a new red dot that I put on here because that is a new model from CV Life, my sponsor. What I love about it is that it actually has a USB port. It's actually right here, right there. It's the USB port, so you can charge it. So this never needs a new battery because I've been throwing away so many 2032 batteries. It's just annoying. And this one you can just recharge it with your phone charger. So it's very comfortable. I recommend it. I put the link down there and I actually get a little bit of an affiliate money should you buy over my link. I can really recommend it. I also like the fact that it's really large. I mean, this is a carbine size scope and not a pistol size scope. All right, but let's go ahead and do the kill shot, shall we? All right, point blank, of course, and fire. Let's do one more just for you. A little bit to the other side. Bang. That's a kill shot. Okay, look at that. It's a different issue. Not even half of the energy than this Slingshot. It just comes down to the ammo that you use. So what is my verdict on the Furiosa Mad Max Saga Slingshot? Well, first of all, it's a functional slingshot and I'm happy to have it in my collection. Second, of course, it is not a great design. But we don't really know. I mean, there's no more YouTube in the future, so there's no more online ordering of a Rambo. So therefore, I mean, they just use what they have and therefore they managed to make a functional slingshot. And I think that is actually realistic. I think you could stun someone with this, probably not kill someone, but you can definitely stun someone with it. Anyway, I hope you like this because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.